Cool, cool.
Just
Maybe. Yeah.
Just.
All right.
Yes, sir. Just. Let's see.
Let's see if I got audio.
Audio test.
Yep, we got audio. Cool.
Right on. Well, we're just.
Okay. Right on. Well, welcome to Rhetoric Rabbit Hole. Where are you in? Acceptable behavior.
Battle Creek.
Battle Creek?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's called Battle Creek.
Okay.
It's not much. That's where my family's from, so.
So, when I met you were like what, like 12? Do you understand the question?
Say that again?
How old were you when I met you? Like when you moved to Fayetteville?
I believe I was 14.
Okay. So, and where'd you come from before that? Was it Alabama?
Yeah, we lived in a little teeny rural town called Thomasville, just in the deep south.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, actually, let me bring Neif into this conversation. Have you ever heard of a movie called Devil's Advocate from the late 90s? You know, Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he seen it. I watched it for the first time the other day. You said you watched it too, right, Phillip?
I really enjoyed seeing actually his wife, Mare. I really enjoyed seeing how what was going on in life was affecting her.
Yeah,
He was normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't have anything to do with any of it. She just married this man.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was crazy to see what she was put through. You know, how her, psyche was basically destroyed. And that was, like, I want to spoil, but I don't want to spoil.
No, well, spoil it. It's a movie from the 90s.
Okay.
I know we're talking about it like it's a new movie, but it's like 90s. I feel like we can totally spoil it. If you haven't seen Devil's Advocate, just erase what we're saying from your memory.
So the part where she's in the mental, like she kills herself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like what you said about the acting, like it just got me. Like I cried. I did. I cried so hard.
Yeah.
And I don't even know why either. Like I could feel it, man.
It's just because they sell it like the sold the roles they were in.
Yeah. And
you were saying about how like humanity takes a toll, like what's happening around her, like the people around her. I was watching Hereditary, and Sev was like, "This, like everyone in this, like she was like, I feel bad for the." Dad, because he's the only one that's like Hereditary, and
It's rolling again.
okay, and so the of that movie, like the very ending, like after time resets and everything, I thought that was really cheesy, and I was like getting pissed off at the end. Like the very last like 5 seconds of the movie where Al Pacino shows up again, and then I was like, okay, I really like this ending. Like it almost fucked it up, but then it saved it right at the end.
yeah, and I felt the says when when it reset, I was like, okay, he's gonna take all that. Now he's gonna do the right thing, and expected that press, the reporter guy, to be an angel or something, something real, just like dumb and cheap. But yeah, the fact that it was still him, and he said vanity is by far my favorite sin, and he was still offering him all of the same things he was getting, but it just came in a different path.
Right.
I absolutely adore that, and it's funny. My grandmother and I, before we watched the movie, a couple of hours before we watched the movie, we actually had a conversation about how I feel about God and all of that stuff, and then we watched the movie, and just about everything I said to her, is coming out of Lucifer's mouth in the movie,
Yeah.
And I was in.
I fucking love the rant he goes on at the end where he's like, Satan is the last humanist. He believes in people and their capability. He's like, even though God, thinks you're all sin. Have you put any thought into what your pantheon looks like anymore since we've talked? Like, who are your gods?
As of right now, it would be Lucifer and Odin.
That's funny. Those two are in my pantheon too. My pantheon is in Payman. But that makes sense. And I guess to break that down a little bit for, because that's something we've talked about a lot. Religion that makes sense to us and leave out the parts that don't make sense. Do you feel like that's kind of an apt presentation of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But for anyone that is worried about you, it, if
No, a lot of my, it is a representation of how I play. So when I talk about, suicide and things like that, I do have suicide thoughts every day. It's something that, I wake up with and I go to sleep with. And, the severity of those. So the aspect of it is not, it's not a joke that
it's
something that I deal with.
That's something I understand that well when you're exercising the bad thoughts out by doing something with it, like into something.
Right, because otherwise they swim inside of my head until, yeah, exactly, and they will overwhelm me. And so put it out, and the other content of my music, I know, aside from the suicide, is also and if that's a rabbit hole you want to get down, we can get into some real shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so I have my monikers at this point are would be Trash, Young Lucifer, and then Billy. And each of those, they are a different part of So
Okay.
that's toxic, the part of me that likes the filth, the mud, the dirt, the part of me that I feel is worthless to me. However, it is still a part of me, whether I like it or not.
Right.
That part of me to express. So
Yeah.
I let it out. Because all of those feelings and that I express are true. Like, I mean, there are times definitely when I'm like, come at me, I wish you would, I will slit your throat. Like, I do feel that, and that helps me, release some of those feelings.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah. No, I it's like it's your expression, and
Right.
it's what I think some people wouldn't. One who isn't maybe as avid as an artist. It's something you feel obligated to do. It feels necessary rather than
Right.
something you do for fun all the time. It's more like an itch you have to scratch.
Exactly. Most of what I put on Facebook, as far as slash lyrics or whatever, that just 90% of it. I'm at work and I'm just in my job, and things start to come to me, and then they don't stop, and then they and then point out great things. And so it's not always effortless, but it is something that drive within me to get out.
Yeah, and what you're doing, keep it up. Like, you got real talent. So, do you have anything that you want to share with us today? No pressure. You don't have to.
I could be persuaded to. The only problem is that try, but everything's on my phone. So if I switch and they mess it up, give it a to try.
What happens when you switch tab? Does it just like this?
All right, we're back on.
Okay. You with us, Phil?
Mm-hmm.
Happened. I think we lost you for a second. Did you try to switch the app?
No.
Oh.
No, it's just we're running with some hiccups here. Here we catch them as we go.
I got you. So, well, maybe, yeah, if you gotta, I mean, you can try it, get to your notes if you want. We got other stuff we could talk about, like, you about gray magic and how it's the art of keeping people guessing, where it's like they don't know if you're yin or yang. somewhere in the balance, and people don't know what to think about you, the maintaining of that. And that's something you brought to my attention. So, and that sounds to me like persona. Like, you know, you since last we spoke, has your persona and like confidence and control in your day-to-day life?
No, it
Okay.
and it is because I am in a position where I know and what I am and what I am capable of, but I am having a very, very hard time believing and actually feel different than what I know I am. And so my psyche, or however you want to put it, it has not been strong. A lot of control recently. There's been some things going on that has put me in just not so great place. So, but as long as I know that as long as how I feel, we had this conversation about, confidence being put on to make yourself feel bigger than you are. And so, the thing for me is getting into a habit of wearing that mask more often. I have it, and I have worn it. I have to get into the habit of wearing it more often.
Right. And let me, because we've talked about this a lot, anyone listening. Or the alpha of the situation. People are able to keep that persona up anyway, confident, even though they can fake it till they make it, basically.
Right.
Like if you yourself that you're good enough to do something, persist at it, well, eventually you'll be. That's how people get good at something. They practice it until guitar players started somewhere. They didn't know how to play guitar when they were born. You have to believe in yourself even when you don't really believe in yourself. You have to sort of fake it, play pretend sometimes. You'll have to do that a little more than others. But
yeah,
that's and shit. Talking about and then you mentioned to me that it was, what I was saying was sort of like going to work, where you have to put on a professional appearance. Whereas, maybe out with your friends, you might cut up and swear and wear baggy clothes, but when you're at work, you keep up a professional appearance because that's what's expected of you. So,
Right.
So what we're really talking outside of a work situation, to your areas of your life. Then you brought it to my attention. I never really thought of it like that,
Right. Because, when I'm at work, I'm a lead, at work and stuff like that. So I have a degree of power within the store. And I have no problem wielding it, and I have no problem, acting like I am the boss, acting like I am the most important person in the store. And so when I realized that was all I had to do outside work, then it just comes down to actually doing it. That hard. Just be exactly, be the same thing. Be the best person wherever you are. Be the top dog wherever you are.
Well, it keeps kicking back.
I was going to say,
Right back up where it's going now.
when it's buffering, even if it's like live, it's not catching up. Whenever we finish it, it'll still catch up and on the
Right, that's fine.
complete
We're
recording.
going right now.
Okay.
All right.
So you did have something?
No,
No, I did.
Yeah.
Well, Phillip is an excellent poet in his own respect, the beat poet, and that's I want to plug. So, and if you're listening, you're into that kind of thing, definitely check out his page. It's got a lot of good content. I wanted you to read The Alchemist. There's a concept in it I'd like to discuss with you a little bit. And I talked to Phillip about it, or David about it on the podcast a couple weeks ago. But there's this concept, it's called, and basically a person is born knowing what their purpose is. And what happens is, as you progress through life, it sort of beats you down and you lose sight of your focus. Maybe you settle down for you didn't initially set out for, or you settle down and get married when ambitions that weren't realized. So, what that book is trying to communicate is that I'll be an astronaut when I grow up. Give you a goal to aim towards. It's that's a path, and if you stick to that, then that's what's considered following your personal legend. And it's not always what's easy to do, and it's not always what you want to do, but it's what you know that you need to do. It's what you're called towards. It's what you're yeah. Into omens. I think I was actually talking to Rick and Scufflemoss about this, but I think the universe listens, and I don't know if that there's a God or if it's this nature in a paganistic sort of way, but like I think there is something that listens, and I don't know that that means it's alive. You could imagine if you have a computer that you give a command to, and then it gives you a response back. That doesn't mean the computer's alive. It's just processing information, and that you requested.
Right.
So if you can imagine that spirits, gods, demons, and what have you, if you can imagine that they aren't really alive, but they're sort of just a program of the universe, programs of this simulation or whatever, what have you. Anyway, that's but I think when people pray for answers, I think something listens. Like when you ask for a sign, the universe answers and responds, and it gives you signs, but so that they miss the signs that are right in front of them. Like you can imagine you're looking off in the distance for something when it's, like you're waiting for someone to tell you what you need to do, and just stopping and smell the rustle of the wind in the leaves,
Yeah.
Because the way I look at it is like if you were talking to the universe body, it's not someone or a mouth to speak with. So if you're literally talking to nature, onto you would be through animals and through the wind and things like that, So what do you think about that? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I definitely believe that there's some, obviously I do believe that there's something out there and there's something that listens. I used to call it, the universe or, whatever, and I'm not so sure or how many of its that there are.
Mm-hmm.
But I do definitely know that there's something. I mean, my whole, into having a relationship in the first place was because, as far as I asked for him, and I asked something of him, and that thing was delivered to me within not even within 7 minutes. Then that's fine. At this point, I at least owe it that. I'll call it whatever it wants me to call it. Whatever it wants me to think it is, that's fine, as long as it's working for me.
Spoken like a true chaos magician. All you're concerned about is results. You don't give a fuck how you get those results, as long as you get the results. That is all that matters. Why? Do you really give a fuck how it's happening? Or are you too busy just enjoying flight? Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way about that. Carter and David and Devin on the podcast, where we came from, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness and sort of on what that's like. But I haven't gotten into that with you on here. Actually, who was it? It was Neif, actually. We were talking about it before the podcast. I was saying it was a cult, and I don't know if that's necessarily inaccurate, but Neif pointed out to me that it's a bit like strong language. That's just not what you think of when you hear the word cult. You generally think of like some Waco shit,
I wouldn't call it inaccurate.
Right. And I'm with you there.
In modern day discussion, people will immediately jump to the harsher end of that term.
Right. Now, it's not. Do you think that's a fair criticism? Rest of Christianity. Most of your Christians do. A lot of them do. But are preachy and will push their religion upon you. But a lot of them mind their own business, and it's a personal thing. They don't religion in your face. They just want to keep it to themselves. However, one of the core tenets of being a Jehovah's Witness is presenting your beliefs to other people and presenting it in a way that it is infallibly true. That this is the undeniable, and it cannot be debated. That's a heavy burden and message that they're carrying with them, So, do you have any thoughts on anything?
I don't like it generally when people say, call Jehovah's Witnesses a cult per se, or say that they're not Christians. Generally, because I don't feel that is, I don't like. It's just one of those situations where it's kind of like it's a gray area, because was when you think of a cult, you don't think say that they are or they aren't?
Well, luckily, we have behind the scenes man. He might be willing to look up a Google definition of the word cult for us. Because actually, that's an interesting point you're making. If you want to get literal about definitions, what is the literal difference between a religion? You know? What separates the two? Okay, here we go.
And this is just on the Google spit down it's coming out of a system of religious veneration and directed toward a particular figure or object. So it technically falls. I mean, that sounds like any religion that bases itself around any type of ideology.
Mm-hmm.
So you could technically use that term for all things.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what my point was, is that, yeah, you can put it on everything, but in modern conversation, people
colloquially in context, you wouldn't say that easy definition.
It says a specific figure, right?
a particular object, right?
A particular figure or object. So then anything monotheistic would be a cult.
That's what, according to that definition.
Multiple gods, yeah, they're not. It's not as particular
Right.
God. It's
Yeah.
so Christianity in and of itself. They're
Based on that information, it sounds like a cult. Yeah.
We have other second and third, a relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by strange or sinister.
Okay.
Then we have misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing, and that's what cult of personality.
Okay. Yeah. The second definition, more commonly used
Right.
definition, where it's sort of cult has a connotation of being frowned upon. We do not agree with what these people are doing. Like it's sort of,
Right.
yeah, taboo. Yeah. Okay, so it's a small religion that's frowned upon.
In general, what we think of now, it's a group. It's a group of people who have some in particular religion that standard society views as sinister or not good. And
Yeah.
that's like you're saying, that's a colloquial thing. The actual terminology is, we have a religion unorthodox or spurious. Great devotion to a person, idea, object, movement, or work.
Okay.
That's where you get in So it's really, if you want to get the etymology of it, which shares the origin of this culture.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Latin cultus, and now meaning raging, filling, cultivation to training or education or adoration.
Uh-huh.
Sense, because when you cultivate, you mean you're like growing plants. You have to train them to do some cultivating it from a wild plant into a domestication.
Interesting that those all. I just remembered the other thing I wanted to talk about. When I reached out to you to do this podcast, we were talking about the book of Job. Have you looked into it at all since we talked about it? We both said we were going to, but I didn't either.
Yeah, we did.
So I guess I could just sort of break down what I was saying before. One thing I do really appreciate about the way I was brought up is I was raised with a deep appreciation for scripture and religious text, and I saw that there's real value and some of those agree with most of what the text says. And well, first taking a step back, you have commonly thought of as Satan. He allows him to torment Job. So Job loses all of his livestock, his wife and children. He gets painful blisters. Already, on his last leg, they tell him, "You need to renounce your faith. I don't know why you still have faith. Look at your situation." So he's beaten down in every place. His faith is tested in every part. And I hated that story when I was a kid.
Challenging God.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. It comes from Satan challenging God, which brings up an interesting idea of we're made into it. He was made into a game.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two.
Exactly. And so, that's what I was going to touch on. Is when I was a kid, it infuriated me. I saw no practical benefit to that story. You have a man who is blind he's serving this God that does not give a fuck about him. This God will let the devil hurt him. Just so, if you're reading this, how do you have any respect for this God? The perspective I had on it for a long time. And, in my adult life, not as a Christian, but on my own, reading that story without any bias, without any people telling me what the story meant, reading that on my own, I started to understand that, first of all, the way it starts, you have, you're told about God and the accuser in heaven, and they're having this conversation. Well, first of all, who's narrating this story? Because it's clearly it's a narrated storybook. It's not supposed to be taken literally, clearly, just based on the context of who is the narration. There's not a person telling you the story, And so that's the first clue that something is about than what I originally thought about it. So thinking about it some more, it's like, well, Job knows that this conversation is taking place in heaven. He doesn't know that that's happening. And as the reader, you're supposed to put yourself in Job's shoes. You're not supposed, you are perspective. But the trick is, putting yourself in Job's mind, in his position. Because there's real wisdom in it when you look at it that way. Basically, what's happening, the wise man, he obviously doesn't give a fuck about you. And basically, Job's response is, why am I going to shake my hand at heaven and just curse the sky? How is that going to fucking help me at all? I'm already in a bad position here. Just feeling shitty and cursing the world doesn't help anything. So I'm not going to do that. And things turn around for him because he's an optimist. And that's the message there. And it was lost on me for long. I was able to take a step back and look at it a different way. And now it's also a fun fact, the oldest book in the Bible. even though it's not the first one chronologically, Exodus, Leviticus forward, but it is the oldest document within the Bible. So that was a rant I went on. Do you have anything to interject on that, Phillip?
I mean, as has been said, we've had this conversation before. I take that story literally. I take the things in the Bible a little more literally. Well, not a little bit more literally, a lot more literally than I feel that you would. So that conversation took place in heaven. I do believe that. I don't know who's telling the story. That, either way, I still have no idea who it is. But I do believe that those things happen to a real, and that story is real, and that wager was made for the souls of humans.
So, if that's the case, what is the point of why put that in?
Propaganda. That's the point of the Bible.
God look good. It's not very good propaganda.
No, it doesn't make God look good until you look at the final result, which is he gets tenfold.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically, the idea, the moral of the story is, no matter how bad things get for you, do not renounce your faith in God. Do not shake your hand at God, and you will be rewarded with more than what you lost.
That's such an abusive relationship. Like, don't complain about the way I'm treating you, and maybe I'll treat you better in the future.
It also seems
And that is why I have such a hatred for him.
it's one of those, going wrong, blame the devil. Because it's really because
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not capable of any harm, wrongdoing. It's always obviously the devil. Yeah. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Phillip?
I believe that there are little kernels of truth, of absolute truth, hidden in the Bible, because I do believe that it's basic. I believe that it's basically propaganda. Just this is my perspective of things. And there are certain messages that come through that you can. God is like that story. Why would you make a wager for the mental health? One of your children, just to what? Because you were
prove a point to.
I mean, because God's plan was, God's plan, according to the Bible, has always been to destroy the wicked in the end. And so Satan, Lucifer, according to the Bible and according to this wager, cannot win. He's going to be just no matter what, according to the Bible. So why make this wager with him? Why do this in the first place? To
show that he's not as mighty as he puts on. It's like yeah.
And I believe that there are things that come out like that here and there in the Bible too.
Of heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very. I think I had this conversation with you. But I believe that the angels didn't necessarily want Lucifer thrown out of heaven. I don't believe that the angels think that what he did was necessarily wrong. I think more so they
didn't want to. They saw it as the losing team or something.
I think they didn't like went about it. I think they felt like they could have taken a different approach in setting humanity free. Because no matter how you slice it, I will admit, as much as I have for the devil, he is responsible for some of the fucked up shit going on, and some of the fucked up shit that's probably happened in my life. But the difference to me, God is not, or Lucifer is not out like, oh, I'm the high and mighty, I'm the best, you really, really are going to want to do, and I'm going to hurt you for it at the end when you do it, because that's,
That's like Al Pacino in Devil's Advocate. He's like, look, but don't touch. You can touch,
right,
but don't taste. And you can taste, but don't swallow. Yeah.
And, I've had a grandmother about how, his people or want humans to look at him as if he was a father. Well, I don't know anybody personally that would, take their child's hand and put it on because they stole a cookie out of a cookie jar.
Yeah.
Or, disobeyed. Like, why would you throw my soul into, fire because I fucked somebody once?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just,
Oh no. Oh no. Oh.
Sorry, we good.
Okay. You got it. You can hear us? Hello.
Bars.
Hey, it's See this? I don't think you can hear us. That's a great picture. That looks just like him.
Oh, Phillip.
How's your drive? How you been, man?
Pretty.
I don't think I've seen you since you moved.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Laying tile and mostly new construction houses. So,
today.
no. No, I had today off. How have you been?
Pretty good. Been good. Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima's out?
Yeah, Jordan said something earlier today about it.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the game yet.
Yeah, I've been trying to avoid it.
I don't remember the previews for it, so I really don't even know.
So it's like a really gory samurai game.
I'm getting a signal like y'all should be in good.
Oh. I can hear him. Phillip, can...
Yes, sir.
Okay, we got you. Cool. Fuck, what were we talking about?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Give me a second. Might be stuck. Asking again.
Phillip, can you hear me? Did you see Ghost of Tsushima came out?
I saw that it came. I don't know anything about it because I didn't even know that. I don't play those types of games.
What? It's a game. What's not to like about it?
It's not that I don't like them. It's like Bloodborne and all kinds of games where you gotta have a real technical, or dodging, strike. That shit just no, that's not me.
I think it looks more to me like Last of Us than it does like Dark.
I only saw a little bit. Like I was scrolling when I follow was streaming it, and I kind of just like saw like a little bit of the fighting. So that was the impression I got. It may not be anything like that.
So we were talking about the Can you write? Phillip. So me and Carl, huh? What'd you say? I think it was a delay.
It's this way. It's this way. Talk.
We were talking about like you said supposedly the perfect match for Pisces was Scorpio, right?
Yeah.
So, Phillip, what did you were talking to me about the same thing? Didn't you say matches with is that right?
I'm a Capricorn, but
yeah, Capricorn, right?
and Cancer.
Yeah. Fuck, I brought up astrology for some reason. Oh yeah, we can get into as above, so below a bit, and how that translates to all different kinds of practice. Whether you're talking about voodoo, forming a sympathetic relation between a person, what happens to this person, what to this object happens to this person. You can apply that to the macrocosm too. What happens in the cosmos on a smaller scale on Earth? There's a duality, and it gets into like this. It gets over my fucking head because I don't know, not way out of my depth here, but gets into things like quantum entanglement, where one to another atom across distance.
Yeah. I think that Einstein studied that. Spooky communications at a distance, I think. Or, I don't know. I remember learning about that a while ago. I remember why it happens.
So, I mean, that kind of just proves the as of love thing.
Yeah.
How
the butterfly effect.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I'm just talking out of my ass here because it's so out of my depth. But when I've heard people describe quantum entanglement, it's like it affects, or when you look at it actually changes its position.
What electron?
When
When you observe supposedly the electron is spinning in free form, so it's spinning in every direction until you observe it. And once you observe it, that electron is now going to spin in that direction every time you look at it. The weird thing that electron through a magnetic field, it switches its orientation. There's horizontal magnetic fields and vertical ones, and each time they pass it through it.
Okay.
Which, I mean, they don't understand why.
Yeah.
So what that's supposed to mean.
Right. So,
but I mean, it's odd because if you were to just keep looking at it, it would until you put it through a magnetic field.
So, if we're talking about sympathetic links, like say you had a voodoo doll and you wanted to establish a connection with it to someone, I wonder if that is a similar process because it's you observing the thing and making that correlation to
causing quantum entanglement.
So, like with intention.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any validity to that.
If there is, how far could you take that?
Yeah, and like how far could you that?
Yeah.
Keith was telling me about supposedly you could take 3 rice grains.
Rice test.
Yeah.
Yeah, rice. The good old rice test.
Okay.
Three portions of a batch of rice that's been cooked and separate them. And then label one neutral and the other 2 good and bad. And you love them, the good one every day and show it love. You ignore the neutral one and you express hatred and anger towards the one you have labeled bad. And you write bad stuff on that one, and just whatever you can do to project that type of energy. And they will do is more rapidly and different, and it's actually more beautiful of a mold. It's really crazy. I've seen a lot of different and seen crazy results. I've yet to try it myself. Some of them want to do.
We should just do it on the podcast, like keep a progress report, like every week. How it's looking. Here's Bob. Here's Bob, that piece of shit. And here's Carlos, the good one.
Horrible as rice.
Yeah.
Deformed. I hate you.
I fucking hate you.
You're so worthless. We need to eat you.
Everyone in Bob, how much you make sure you know.
I always hate it, so.
We'd have to just not even give it a name.
Yeah.
Feel that word.
You don't even deserve it.
Name your rice batch number 3.
Yeah. You're nothing.
No, you can't anymore. The composition of molecules.
So bright.
Easily comprehended. Simple.
Make a nice shrine and pedestal for the good.
Yes.
Praise it.
Phillip, you back? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You cut out. You were saying that what's interesting is something about science, and then he kind of.
Oh, okay. So we can prove through experiments like that we have the power to basically use our energy to project, that basically that our energy changes that any other.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine what that's doing, what you're doing to a person when you're screaming, just hurtful comments at them, telling them they're trash to go kill themselves, stuff like that. Can you imagine if it can cause rice to mold differently? Like, it's insane.
Yeah. Like it has a physical effect. Like it physically alters the rice. Yeah.
And it's crazy to me how smart or how intelligent we are as a species, but how stupid we are.
Yeah.
All this knowledge and all of this power and the things we do destroy, and that is the difference between white, black, and gray magic is your energy, what you do with the power, what the intent is. We have been practicing black magic since the moment we've been here, pretty much. It's been all about destruction.
Yeah.
Welcome to being a human.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And we continue to use the splitting of the atom could have had many great implications into our lives, endless energy. And yet, what did we do with it? We sought to weaponize it.
Things with it too, but
yes, we did, but that on top of that, and it's just
It's a pretty big deal to drop a nuke on people.
yeah.
It's major destruction.
Yeah, people generally don't like it.
It ruins parts of Earth too.
Yeah. It really
It makes
fucks
it
up
so
your
toxic.
day.
Radiation.
So, Phillip, what were you just talking about? I had something I wanted to add to that.
Joey Taco said that's a cute shirt.
Oh, thanks, Joey. And a shirt. My granddad's hat, actually. I'm just like an old man today.
Just today.
All the time. Fair enough.
I'm just kidding.
Fuck. I got distracted.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I want to get back. I can't remember.
Why humans are so destructive.
Talking about how we're smart, but we're really stupid.
Mhm.
And the reason there is because there's this disparity between you have these genius scientists making all these achievements in reality, but the sort of catch-22 back to that is that it allows other people to be more lazy and not think. So you have these geniuses that think for other people.
Yeah.
That think for the mass. So you have a minute elite group of people that are really intelligent, and then you have the sheeple actually getting dumber.
Yeah.
More domesticated.
I think the whole cause behind that is money.
Oh,
Because you get to pay someone now because they're so smart to create this thing for you, so you don't have to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And they get money for it. They're providing their services and lazy and just live a luxury.
Yeah.
But if money would themselves, I think people would treat each other very differently.
Right.
You have to now do hard work, and you're like, oh, okay, well, this sucks. instead of like always having it done for you. Then you don't appreciate hard work.
Right. Something achieved on your own is a different value than something handed to you.
Yes,
Right.
That's actually,
sure.
that reminds me, it's like, someone who has, just eaten processed foods their whole life and never given any thought to it, and then goes hunting.
Yeah.
And becomes suddenly the reality and like survival becomes apparent to them all of a sudden, and that shakes the way they look at meat and everything like that. What's interesting is not usually they have a deeper appreciation for it. They have a deeper appreciation for meat, and not, like
you get in touch
become
with
vegetarians.
primal instincts of hunting.
But we are so desensitized and sheltered from the reality of
For sure.
I wonder what percentage of the world butchers account for. Like a small percent of people who actually get their hands dirty.
But I think, that's mostly in America. So.
That's true.
It's cutting up chickens, killing them, plucking them, getting them ready to eat. Goats.
Me and David earlier today were talking about they've spliced the DNA of goats and spiders. So, functioning goat, except that when it produces milk, so the reason they're doing that is there's a lot of practical application for spider webs. They're extremely durable.
If you could make a spider web that's like the strength or the size of a cord, I think it's stronger than any kind of cable.
It's stronger than Kevlar, or I mean, Kevlar's not that strong, but yeah. But it takes a long time to get spider silk. You gotta just basically collect spider silk.
Yeah.
It's
like thinner than a hair.
Takes the spider's time to make that shit. Goat. That's it's just shitting out the fucking spider webs, So you just collect all this spider goat.
They can genetically code for our bodies to produce holes in the tips of our fingers so that we can
like some Spider-Man did?
Yeah. I mean, it's all genetic coding. You can tell the body to grow a certain organ in your arm or in your hand that produces this spider string.
Me and David were talking about, like, if they've done that to goats and spiders, they've definitely done that shit to people. They've at least...
Can they do that after the fact, or does it have to be done?
Oh.
Something that you're...
In an incubator.
While it's being incubated, you have to set the DNA.
Probably.
Or at a certain age, could you catch somebody that's go through all these rapid changes? Maybe they could catch kids then, and that's that wind lice on DNA, and
Yeah, I wonder.
Can you keep a baby in like an incubator and it like keep it asleep, but it keep growing up, and you just alter its DNA?
Just like never let it become conscious.
Like don't let it be born yet.
What the fuck?
Well,
like an artificial womb.
Like yeah. So going from the point
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Is that inhumane?
No, dude. Go for it.
That's a
Perfectly normal.
It would be interesting.
I know that they can hatch chicken eggs they're doing it as like a science project in schools in Japan. The chicken form in the egg because you've already cracked it out of the thing. It's basically on a test tube.
Okay, so if you can do that, then you can definitely do that with like humans.
Theoretically.
Speaking of chicken
The
eggs,
fluid in there could have like a bunch of nutrients and stuff too.
Well, that's what it does.
And then grow a human, put some armor on.
speaking like an exoskeleton.
Yeah.
Speaking,
Just have it hooked up. Just use CRISPR. And go ahead and start coding things that you want. Doing all of its work for you.
speaking of chicken eggs, Neif, have you seen that Russian guy? He takes he'll take a clutch of fertilized chicken eggs, okay, and he'll take a syringe and inject.
Homunculus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll inject his own semen into the yolk of these fertilized chicken eggs. And when these eggs,
The egg is only fertilized by one sperm cell, and once it's been fertilized, it's not going to do anything.
there's this is just some guy on YouTube who puts up these videos. There's a lot of controversy about this guy and the validity of what he's saying and doing.
He does say though that like it takes a lot of trial and error, and like you said, a lot of just random blobs and nothing. He claims to have 2 successful ones, and one is just like this thing of meat.
Yeah,
Has like a tongue or something, like a mouth.
like it has like a simple.
That's the eye, the starfish eye one.
Oh, you're talking about it's.
There's a second one that like the water.
Mm-hmm.
It lives in water. It electrocutes water and it eats meat.
So it can make chlorine.
I don't know what.
Like he puts a fucking goldfish in the
Kills
tank
it.
with it, and the goldfish swims around for a little bit, and then it just bellies up.
He took a volt and put it in the water, and it was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Pulsing
it was
out
electric
electricity.
charge.
I mean,
Yeah.
we put off electricity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything.
Could you focus that? Pull like shock the crap out of somebody.
Yeah.
Just stop someone's heart. Just like
Just
think about it.
some
and then-
Gandalf, like.
In the wintertime.
When-
With socks. That's how you build a shoe.
That reminds me when I went to visit this nappy-headed fool in Texas. I fucking put Phillip in a headlock, and I was like rubbing my was gone, and there's this blood coming down my hand.
Oh, God.
And because I was like, wasn't thinking about it, I was just doing it real fast. And I'm like, his head is sandpaper. That hurt.
What you were talking about.
Yes.
It's good protection
Like
against.
sandpaper when it's good.
A natural defense, like a porcupine.
You didn't do that again, did you?
No, I didn't.
Saying natural defense.
Yeah, I learned my lesson.
You want to get a CRISPR?
Yeah, dude, let's make
Like Rand.
fucking homunculus. Hey,
No. You just genetically alter. Like, I want to get a bearded dragon,
dude.
and I'll make the size of a school bus.
Just ride it into battle.
Yeah, like put it like train. Dude, that thing would be huge. Imagine. It's the giant bearded dragon running. Its
dude.
tail would like throw cars.
I'm on board with this
I would
project.
100% be on the news.
But apparently they're docile. So
Yeah. A bearded dragon wouldn't be very.
If it's the size of a school bus, we're not a threat.
right. It's gonna be,
It might eat a car. Pick it up, throw it into a light pole. FBI would be on my case pretty quick.
We get like
I gotta get a big, like 400 acres facility in the middle at a center block. So it wouldn't take but a year,
there was
and we could make a giant lizard.
All right, man.
So these are real goals.
Squad
I'm
goals.
gonna start a GoFundMe.
hey, about to say, go find me.
Yeah.
You know, crowdfunding.
Just have like a really emotional like benefit trailer, kind of like in the
If 1 million people give me $1,
yeah, you can help me.
just
have a
$1.
giant blizzard.
A million people, $1. I
Day. Exceed my school bus size.
insane.
Beer and drink.
But then you could make a wasp the size of like
Lost.
like just giant.
Insects don't live that long.
What if it was big?
They probably would live even shorter period of time.
Wow.
Let me. Yeah, that's why.
terrifying.
Yeah.
The amount of food it would have to eat. Just imagine like a hummingbird. If it was giant, it would just be anything with sugar. It'd just be in your freaking watermelon. Everything. Because they eat like 3 times or something. I don't know. Don't quote me on their weight a day because they exert that much
They're
energy.
burning it.
Animals are crazy like that.
What if you had like a pet ant that was the size of a dog?
It'd be really fucking strong.
Yeah.
Pick you up and throw you.
Yeah,
It would carry you to its colony.
Yeah. It can lift anything. Yeah.
It could pick you up in 20.
Okay, so you grow an ant that big, and now you put an electronic controller on its head, and you control it like a video game.
That's
with a
Ant-Man.
remote.
Have you?
Yeah.
You can control cockroaches.
What the
Yeah, you can just drive them around.
What the fuck?
They make kits.
That antenna, and you strap on their back. I've seen people do it Arduinos, and they run electrodes. They give us, and not hurt them. It just triggers them.
What?
Because they're walking around and you kick it, and they think something's there, so they turn, and you're literally remote controlling a car.
Holy shit. That's crazy.
No.
So, off topic, and we can probably close on this because we've been going for a while. But off topic, just pick your guys' brain on this. Okay, so all life we are aware of is waste, and it needs oxygen and water, things like that. It's life sustaining. Do you think, even in a theoretical sense, it would be possible for something to exist in space? Like maybe if it ran on heat, like it's absorbing heat from stars or something, but like it wouldn't have any oxygen, it wouldn't have any food.
I guess it depends on what you mean by live.
Yeah, that
What is
I don't know. Not really sure.
like anything? Well, I guess.
It has to. It has to.
They found microorganisms that can listen.
Really? Holy shit.
Microorganisms at the bottom of the sea shut themselves and their metabolism down, so they're literally estimated to be millions of years old.
Wow. That reminds me, I heard.
And slow themselves down so slow, and they just virtually aren't consuming or doing anything.
There's
Phillip,
so much. Learn, and all that's genetic coding.
All right, here we go.
So, did you guys know jellyfish have perfect cell regeneration, so they don't age? Like, unless you kill a jellyfish, it'll just exist.
No way.
Is that like
Jellyfish,
That's also code.
a jellyfish, as it grows, it doesn't problem continuing to produce new, like, red blood cells and things. I don't know exactly what its anatomy is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much frequency. So,
Yeah.
So,
Have you guys seen where they've been able to destroy cancer cells with 2 vibrations, 2 frequencies?
What?
Because during their testing, they were trying it with 1, trying to find frequency that will destroy cell. Because everything in this universe has resonant
frequency.
frequency.
Because everything is matter, and all matter is atomic structure, and atoms are all vibration.
Yes. So there's a story of this bridge, and there was just and that slight breeze had rocked the bridge a little bit and made it have this,
Gallop?
yeah.
That's what it's called.
And somehow, or that vibration in it was resonating with its natural one. To grow to the point that the bridge fell.
It's feedback.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're talking about feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Look at a wave, and if you exactly together, it doubles that wave. And if you do it again, it quadruples, getting quickly louder. He's talking about the galloping guard. It happens several. The wind blew it one day, and it started to rock, and it became the frequency that it was. Is why bridges are not built linearly now. They have to be. Also, soldiers, when they march, there's off-step bridge marching. When they cross bridge, don't actually march,
Holy shit.
and cause a frequency that could start the vibration and collapse.
Oh my god, that's insane.
Yep. So
Whoa.
they're trying to see if they could find a frequency that would delete and make a cancer cell explode.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find it, but they had the idea, I forget his name, to use 2 frequencies that resonated together. That found it, and they tried I put a cell down, and it duplicated immediately. But then the original one, right after that, the one that got duplicated, that died. It was just killing, blowing them up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they'll get it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Big Pharma ain't gonna like that because you can't sell sound. But
Well, you don't want to sell nothing that cures.
yeah, you don't want to fix their problems. You want to create them.
You want customers, not cures.
Right.
Right.
Phillip, I heard you trying to chime in earlier. Did you have something you wanted to add?
I don't even remember.
Well, what time are we at, Neif?
We have about 4 minutes.
Okay. Well, I mean, here for a minute. Is there anything you want to add, just in general, Phillip? Anything you want to get up?
Not really.
You got a site where you.
Oh. No, I'm not. I'm nowhere near that far yet.
Just find him on Facebook. Have you seen you friends with Phillip on Facebook?
Through a lot of other bullshit.
Maybe.
Phillip's been going pretty hard on social media here recently, and he's scared. The normies are frightened because he's going too hard for their delicate sensibilities.
I just sent him a. I enjoy it. Kind of shit.
Thanks for doing. Okay. Well, we're back just to close up. Have a good night. Thanks for staying with us on this Friday and kicking the shit with us. And we'll see you next week.
See you, Phillip.